As we all know, computers have become a universal machine today. This brings with it many advancements in education, healthcare, research, and other human activities. Computers are important in a lot of different settings, especially during this pandemic period, where learners are able to participate in flexible learning with the use of any gadgets available. So in this presentation, we are going to talk about one of the teaching methods that involves the usage of computers or any gadgets, and that is the computer-assisted instruction or method. There are several types of computer-assisted learning: computer-managed instruction and computer-assisted instruction. A computer-managed instruction or CMI is a systematic control of instruction by computer. It is characterized by testing, diagnostic learning, prescription, and through record keeping. It aids the instructor in instructional management without actually doing the teaching. So what about the computer-assisted instruction? A computer-assisted instruction or CAI is a form of technology-aided instruction which is a systematic approach that improves the knowledge or skills of learners that uses computers as a key feature in delivering learning activities, presentations, evaluations, or feedback, and so on. This implies that the program used is local to a computer and may or may not be accessible via the internet, which makes it distinct from online, internet, or other network learnings. There are several categories of computer-assisted instruction, namely drill and practice method, tutorial mode, simulation, game modes, and problem solving. The drill and practice method is the simplest type of computer-assisted instruction in which it does not include a teaching component. It provides the learners with ways to practice their skills they have learned from their previous discussions, which is essential for mastery. Here are several criteria in creating a good and effective drill and practice method of learning. It is important that the overall format is interactive for learners. There must be an option that enables learners to establish their desired pace. Provisions from the educators can enable them to progress the levels of difficulty of the drills and modify the content of the program. Items of the same level can be selected randomly. Rewards must be shown for the correct responses of learners, and incorrect responses must be handled appropriately. Another category is called the tutorial mode. This teaches a body of information to the student by providing information and asking questions, offering tips, and etc. This is an interactive method for students which makes it more interesting and fun compared to an instructor's lecture. Moreover, the tutorial mode is very advantageous for educators and learners since it relieves them from teaching some of the simple or basic materials, and learners who are missing on certain activities or those who need remedial work can be able to revisit the discussion they missed. The third category is called game modes. It involves generating challenges or competitions for learners to test what they have learned by achieving the highest score and beating other competitors. The learning range of students relies on the nature of the game planned or programmed by educators. On the other hand, simulation is a portrayal or model of a real event or phenomenon where the implications of their actions can be seen by learners. It is used to provide experiences for events that are not practical or feasible for learners to perform. For instance, children who are fond of driving vehicles yet are not authorized to drive one yet can use certain programs in their computers to experience a driving simulation. The last type of computer-assisted instruction is problem solving. This method helps learners to see the outcomes of their responses to different activities. Learners are able to manipulate the variables involved and can be given immediate feedback based on these manipulations given. This method, as well as the simulation, addresses higher order thinking skills from learners.
following advantages of computer-assisted instruction. First is one-to-one interaction. One-to-one interactions give students excellent opportunities to practice interpersonal communication and conversing with solely one other person at a time. Instructors are also careful to communicate in similar ways that the student does. Next is great motivator. If people are motivated to work faster and more efficiently, this will lead to more output. This can enable your learner to do more and bring out his or her best. Next is freedom to experiment different options. The learners may opt to choose from various options depending on their preference and capacity. Next is immediate feedback. This allows students to evaluate themselves immediately for better outcomes in the future. Next is self-pacing. This allows them to work on their own time zone where they can find themselves the most comfortable to learn. Next is educators devote more time. Since it is a computer-based learning system, educators can give more time since technology makes things much easier for them with just a couple of clicks. Next is privacy. Privacy helps people protect themselves from these troublesome judgments. People establish boundaries from others in society. These boundaries are both physical and informational. Next is individual attention. By providing individual attention, educators will be able to motivate the learners in learning and overcoming the difficulties in life. Students can also work more freely without disturbances from others. Next is learn rapidly. Being able to learn rapidly means that the learning system has been effective and that the learner has been able to cope up with the learning style. Next is multi-sensor approach. Multi-sensory teaching techniques stimulate the brain in a variety of ways so that each sensory system becomes more developed and higher functioning. This improves essential functions of the brain such as listening skills, movement, vision, tactile recognition, and conceptualization. Next is self-directed learning. Self-directed learning gives students further independent practice in comprehension strategies and be able to function well on their own. Next is supports educational and organizational goals. Not only does it benefit the learner, but also the company or the organization that offers this type of learning system, since they all have one common goal, which is education. Lastly is decreased material cost. Decreased material cost can help them save money while the quality of education that one receives is still exemplary. On the other hand, the following are the disadvantages of computer-assisted instruction. First is divert attention due to the overuse of multimedia. Since learners can work at their own pace, sitting in front of the screen for long hours might tempt them to divert their attention because of boredom or low attention span. Next is learning becomes too mechanical. Everything relies on the instructions given by the computer-based system, which lacks hands-on activities or activities that allow students to demonstrate a learning in real-life context. Next is non-availability of good CAI packages. Some learning packages might require more cost, which can be out of the capability of the learner to acquire. Next is lack of infrastructure. Learners are only limited in their homes or the comfort zones, which lack of exposure to infrastructures like laboratories and equipment education infrastructures which can help boost their learning. Lack of formal communication. Formal communication ensures a proper channel of information flow between the educator and the learner. This can result in an unclear deliveries of queries and workflow. Lastly is more mental and physical stress. In terms of the relationship between screen use and both physical and mental health outcomes, there have been several studies that suggest higher levels of screen use in learners is associated with reduced physical activity, increased risk of depression, and lower well-being.
Before we end this presentation, here's a short quote from Marion Ginapoulos. It is not about the technology, it's about sharing knowledge and information, communicating efficiently, building learning communities, and creating a culture of professionalism in schools. These are the key responsibilities of all educational leaders. Thank you for listening, and we hope you learn a lot of things about the computer-assisted instruction.